You guys know I really like to talk about inventory management, how to manage things from the front end to the back end. You get things in and then you either sell them or you don't, or what's the next process, and they are aging out. You need to clear out inventory. You need to make room for new, free up the cash. And all of these things take time. From the time you source that product and say yes to it at market or yes to it on Hubventory or whatever it is, right then you've tied up your cash. And that cash either becomes an investment or an expense.
Right.
So today I'm super pumped to bring a couple of our industry leaders in this space to talk about efficiencies and tools and how to manage that investment, right? I'm going to call it as an investment. So that choice to invest in those products can turn back into cash, more cash, right, for you quickly. So I'm really excited about the crew we have with us today. You guys have seen our Max Retail, Melody with Max Retail. She's been involved in the hub for quite a while and no stranger to the community. And I'm also excited about our partners now at Eastco that are jumping in today. Victoria and Michael, thanks guys for being here. There's some more people jumping in. I'm gonna share this into another group as well. And why I do that, would you guys mind just doing a quick little introduction? We'll start with you, Melody, first, kind of who you are and what a little bit more about Max Retail, and then we can pass the baton over to Victoria.
Absolutely. So we love the Boutique Hub, and I will say hello to all of our Max Retail retailers out there that are also watching right now. If you're already in our community, you know how much we care about you. And if you haven't yet joined, we can't wait to have you. Max Retail is a platform built from my own personal pain as an independent retailer. I had a store in South Florida for 9 years, and it was very seasonal. And so every summer, my customers would leave, they'd go back up north, and I didn't have anyone to sell the leftover inventory to, but somehow it had to be gone before they returned again in the fall. And so today, Max Retail is a platform that enables you to get your cost back on your past season inventory. We do this by helping you easily and anonymously sell it online. All the best platforms that you can do manually and it's hard and painful, like Poshmark and eBay. But we also give you access to a lot of really cool channels like ThreadUp and Shop Simon, and even our own channel that we launched last year, Snagged and Bagged. And so what we're able to do is put the money back into your pocket so you can bring in new shipments faster. We do integrate with Shopify, Lightspeed R Series, Square, and Rix. So we try to make it as easy as possible so that you can just focus on your customers in store, selling new full price inventory to them, and we will turn the leftovers into cash.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Hi, my name is Victoria Winter. I also am a lifelong retailer turned solutions maker in this industry. I managed retail since I was 19. I opened my own store in Lafayette, Louisiana in 2014 called Amore. And I scaled that over the next 10 years. And in 2024, I sold that to a couple of my employees. So it lives on, which makes me so happy because I became obsessed with how complicated our industry got over the course of that 10 years. While all of these wonderful sales channels were popping up and all of these e-com tools were emerging, I slowly realized that our industry of sourcing from multiple vendors was squeezed out of the occasion. These platforms are amazing if you're making your own limited SKU amount of, products. You put them into your system one time, you reorder them, right? That's not a huge drain on a company that's making 10 shirts. With us, we're flipping 10 shirts from 10 different vendors every day. And as we scaled with Amore in 2020, like so many of us, we went hybrid. And I was actually the first time I was running the store remotely. And so I got to just watch the inventory leaks. I got to have to send those painful emails that we all hate to saying, hey, actually, this is out of stock, or that wasn't the right photo for the right item, which as someone who really is obsessed with hospitality killed me. So I've actually made this pain point my entire personality, like Melanie said, and we are launching our first tool that takes all of your purchase orders in any format that they come in, handwritten, fair, Fashion Go, Sure, it doesn't matter. Our system is trained on all of the complexities in our industry. It instantly parses that information. It puts it into Shopify ready format. It pulls out your photos. It pulls out the descriptions, all of that, manufacturer number, everything to get you an up-to-date, healthy, clean catalog so you can maximize all of these wonderful sales channels, including Max Retail, which the best. So that's us. We say we own the messy middle between buying for your store and selling to your customers. And my life goal is to eliminate the friction that comes in that middle. So
I love that. I
here we
hate
are.
anything admin.
Oh, I hate it. Now it's my whole personality. So I'm so happy to talk to some other people about it today.
And I'll hop in here real quick. I'm Michael Winter. I'm Victoria's husband. I'm the co-founder of the Ease Co. and Inventories. I've been a co-retailer with Victoria for forever. We've been married for 15 years, and I came on board full-time last year as we've been trying to bring our platform to life and to fruition to help support all the other retailers out there. So it's nice to be here and meet everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. Okay, so this definitely fosters lots of or gets us all thinking, right? So when we're going to market and we're thinking, like you said, Mel, you don't like the admin stuff, and the admin stuff is often the things. And Victoria, you mentioned it too. It's just like not that fun stuff, right? We're excited about getting the product in, and we're excited about the possibilities and marketing it, photo shoots, all the things, putting it on the models, doing all amazing displays, merchandising, and things, and then maybe it doesn't hit or it sits there and we're not really sure what to do with that. And, can we go back to the importance, Victoria, I just want to chat a minute about that importance of understanding what those products are, the life cycle of those products, like all that information that you're talking about capturing, tell us why is that a non-negotiable for retailers to know?
It's a non-negotiable to scale. And especially with, like I said, current day, we have so many sales channels. When I first started, there was one brick and mortar, and which is amazing. There's so much great data about how people can find you, right? And they can pre-shop before, even if you don't want to sell on e-com, they're pre-shopping. On the flip side of that, if it's not top of mind, that can be a trust issue both ways, right? They're going to pre-scan, this is top of the line touching your customer. They're going to say, oh, they don't have what I'm looking for, I'm not coming in, right? This trust data as well. So a healthy catalog, even if you're not, what we hear a lot is people saying they don't want to sell online, which is totally fine. It adds another complexity, but to have a healthy, up-to-date catalog helps you reach more customers, trust people, drive more in-person growth. And then internally, having that healthy catalog gives you insight into what is happening on your business. What I always looked at, and I would spend hours and hours trying to make these custom reports, because in our industry, it's not just based on the product category. That doesn't tell the whole story. I'm also looking at vendors. So something that we have cooked into our tool, because this is something I spent so much time in, is who is making me money? We talk about who are we selling to, who are customers that are bringing in the most sales. That's how I would think about my vendors. And because I had that data and that information, I'd be like, oh, actually, and I was constantly surprised about who was bringing in the most cash. And then those were the vendors that I would be having the conversations about, be like, hey, what can we do? Can I get consignment boxes? Can I do, we would always be cooking up things. And I had the power to grow with my retailers because I had data. Because I would say, hey, you sell through 15% faster than the rest of our brands. On the same turn too, breaking up with brands, I found that much easier with data. Saying, hey, I love you. I love your product. I don't know if anybody else out there, as a retailer, we're in hospitality. We love our connections. I hated breaking up with brands. So to be like, you know what? I actually can't go forward anymore as much as I love it. The data says my people don't love it. So those are a few things that aren't top of line in a Shopify reports, right? It's not just sell-through. It's telling that story, especially when you're sourcing from multiple vendors of like, where's the life cycle going versus just here's this one top that we got 10,000 of, and it's such a different complex ecosystem story. And having that data, especially now, there's such amazing data tools, but you can't unlock them unless you have the right data going in. Sarah, I know that's one of your soapboxes too.
It is. And that's why, I love this conversation with you guys, because you have to be able to analyze things, and it's not just, oh, okay, I made sales, but okay, how long did I have it?
Yes.
What was my margin when I, at point of sale, all of those things. How many times did I move that around? Did it go to multiple pop-ups with me? Has it been in every window display? And have I just murdered it in the price tag, right? Just marked it down. And, but yet if you're just saying, oh, well, I sold it, that's a totally different story.
Yep.
And so then, Mel, that brings you guys into the discussion here when it comes to max retail. So is the data and what we're looking at, talk to me about like what this looks like from a when is enough kind of mentality, or where do I decide, is margin better than cash, or cash better than margin?
You know what? I think for me, when I put my retailer hat on, it was always that angst of, is my customer going to see the same thing again?
Mm-hmm.
And we just took a survey with our retailers, and 88% of our retailers said that they use us because they don't want to train their customers to wait for a sale, and they want to have new merchandise every time their customers come in. And so I think that we have to make a decision as retailers to say, what is my goal? Because if my goal is to squeeze every single drop out of this lemon, even though I know it's a lemon, right? Or am I just going to be like, okay, I need a different fruit on the table. Like, I just got to get this thing, moving along. I think it's just mentality. And, Management One was a planner that I used. And so I can attest that, like, knowing your data can change your business. That was really beneficial. But even just the way that, Dan Jablon's taught me, Mel, if your retailer sees this month what they saw last month, they're not coming next month. And so, I even had just like this heavy feeling as a retailer over the last couple of weeks, because this is a time where Easter and Mother's Day are pretty close together. And all I could think about is, in our stores, we had women who came to shop for Easter dresses. Those same women are going to come back and look for their Mother's Day dress, or their husband's going to come in and shop for something for Mother's Day for them, right? And so we have this opportunity to see our customers in such close proximity, and then they're going to be having summer vacations, and we want them coming in, but we've got to have newness. Mm-hmm. And so that's, to me, where max retail comes in, is, Sarah, you say it a million times over, freshness. Right. And so we've got to be willing to move out what's not working to make room for what will be new and exciting. And sometimes retailers will say, well, max retail, you take a 15% fee. Yes, we do, because we create your listings for you. We manage 10 different sales channels on your behalf. We handle all the end consumer support. We give you the label and pay you as soon as it's scanned. And all sales are final. And yes, in order to offer that, we absolutely have to have a fee structure. But what I know is, if you list something with us and you sell it, with the money you get back, you're going to bring in something new that you're going to put at a much higher markup, and you're going to make your customers happy. And that's how we keep inventory turning.
I love it. Okay. All right. So as you guys, I've got some questions that are coming in from the group here. So we get it that, it's more than just going to market. It's more than sitting on Hubventory and saying, oh my gosh, I think that's so cute. I want that, and then as soon as you say yes to those things and you put your credit card number in, swipe it, or just use Shop Pay, you don't have to swipe anything, don't have to do anything. It just automatically happens, right? The clock starts ticking. So we talk about this with the brown bananas analogy and all the things. And so there's so many decisions that have to be made there. And Victoria and Michael, you guys can talk on your side of, like you mentioned before, where this interest came in from more of that admin side. So then when we are in Mel's point saying, okay, freshness sells, I need to continue to bring freshness in, and, looking at that as a whole from just like, where is my time, energy, effort spent? Because at the same time, we all know that same person that is sitting there ordering the product or jumping on a plane and going to Dallas, ordering the product, is also coming home, writing the emails, putting together the social media captions. They're also managing the team. They're fixing that Dymo printer that just doesn't want to print. They're going to the basement and bringing back tissue paper, and they're doing all the things, and they're negotiating with UPS and all that stuff. So when I say time is money, and that inventory starts to age right away, like where did you see some of those hangups that keep people from being productive? And ultimately where I get so stressed is when I see stores that say, well, UPS brought it, I just slapped a price tag on it and sold it.
Yeah.
Because at that time they're like, but Sarah said, hurry up and get it out.
Yeah.
And so let's talk through that a little bit. And I see I'm getting some love in the comments. They're like, yeah, that's me.
Yes.
And people have been there. So we get jacked and excited about the product, but then the reality hits. So kind of talk through some of those things that like where that passion came from, but also I guess maybe like, if you do that, if you're the store owner that's doing that, what is it ultimately costing you?
Yeah, that's like you teed me up for success there, because I was that girl. If the box is coming in and a customer that I know that is going to like what is in the box, there was no competition, period. I was selling that item. And of course, in your head, you're like, I'll go back and fix it later. And that never is going to happen. Because, right, that's a good signal. And that was always the push and pull. So whenever we started scaling, pretty significantly, where I started to talk to different solutions, people, they'll tell you to just buy deeper, and I'm talking about top of line. They're like, if you want to scale your business, you got to get out of this boutique model. But I love the boutique model. And honestly, I'm not a big risk taker. We always called it day trading, like what Mel was saying, like holding tight to that inventory. I'm not a gambler. I'm really not. I liked that day trading, seeing what was happening, selling through, pushing it on sale, reordering into it, right? And that just got super complex to scale because those little leaks of me selling it in the store came in. And then fortunately, my manager's husband was an Amazon engineer. So we always say that we were pulled in from the enemy sidelines. And he was like, why aren't you putting your stuff in ahead of time? And I'm like, well, that sounds good, but there's literally never any time. And then the more I would show these experts what we have to deal with on our independent retail level, no big player would ever deal with. For Amazon, you have to plug in. If you want to play their game, you have to plug in their data. And it was just so eye-opening to me that I didn't even realize how much complexity that we carry on our shoulders. So all of that to say is you're not wrong, right? Like this is something that is not talked about enough, that we are really carrying a challenging, complex data entry business. So I was able to start like in 2020 using VAs, which was fine. It worked fine. It worked better. But getting those images, I was like, all I want to do is take this purchase order and put it in my system. Like it made no sense. So, that's what our tool aims to do. And what I love, I was just checking in on one of my clients. They are a store from the 1950s. They're like we've worked with them forever. They have women's, children, all the home, all the complexities. Just in a month in our tool, they have put in $430,000 worth of purchase orders. They are in for the rest of the year. So every time those boxes come in, they have the pictures, they just hit the buttons, they're going. And it's given them the ability to focus on other things. They're sending out more emails, right? Like everybody's going to be unique on what you're going to be using that time for. But it's starting to think about, oh, maybe the systems that I made up, this was me. I made up a system. I would reinvent the wheel every week. And finally, it was just enough is enough. When I saw the money leaking, enough was enough. I knew I had to put my big girl pants on and start putting my inventory in the system ahead of time.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's pretty critical to get that purchase order in at the time of PO versus waiting till it comes in when that inventory arrives. There's multiple benefits to that, in terms of having a very clear runway of what your inventory is going to look like over the next 3 to 6 months. In addition, a checks and balances that when that invoice arrives, those dollar amounts match what you agreed to when you were at market, that nothing has changed. And then you can factor in and see what the shipping looks like and how that affects your margin. There's so many things that can happen in that interim. When you have that data in there right at the time of purchase order, it really gives you like that one source of truth to kind of reflect upon when that inventory actually arrives.
I totally agree. And I will say, if any of you are already planning with management, one, this is table stakes. You have to have your POs in as soon as you take those orders so that I can update your open to buy. And I can definitely say that the hardest part of having a planner is being organized with getting your POs into the system, hands down. And so what I love about this conversation, and Sarah, I commend you for knowing how to put amazing things together. It's like you're giving retailers their time back when merchandise is coming in, and you're also giving them their time and money back when inventory needs to go out. So it's pretty amazing how between these two tools, you guys can save a lot of time in your day.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, right? Is efficiency. And, I think back at, again, how many hats you're wearing and all the moving pieces and things. And so that purchase order is automatically read. It's input into your system. You have all the key data to make the best business decisions you possibly can. That's investing, right? And that's an investment into your business. Hopefully it's going to have a good ROI, right? And so then whether that stuff moves, and it moves in your store, it moves online, whatever that might look like, you know exactly when it goes out, how long you had it, the margins on it, all the stuff. Even better from a standpoint, when somebody checks out and say, I'm the customer, you can build a story behind Sarah, the shopper, for my lifetime value. What sizes does Sarah buy? What colors does Sarah buy? What times of the year is Sarah coming in to shop? Who are Sarah's favorite vendors? All of those things. But if we don't have that, and it all comes back to that purchase order, then Sarah just bought us a top. And we have no idea what color, size, shape, or whatever, who she might like. So when my husband comes in and says, hey, I need to buy something for Sarah, store clerk's like, Sarah, who? I don't know. Sarah shopped with me before. Like, what a horrible experience that is. That's not what we do as far as a boutique, right? Boutiques are about clienteling. So that's scenario A. Like the top actually moves, the sweater moves. Scenario B is the sweater doesn't move. The sweater sits there. And all of a sudden, vendor calls and says, hey, store owner, we've got this another shipment's ready to move. And the store owner's like, I don't have any hangers. I don't have any floor space. And I damn sure don't have any cash. What's my next option? Well, when you've managed your inventory and have, everything there is to know about that listing becomes extremely simple on Max Retail as far as getting that information over there.
It's literally as easy as adding a tag in Shopify. Like you just write Max Retail on that exact item.
Yeah, I don't think it gets any simpler than that. Okay, I do have a question. Ashley Davis, I see you here in Zoom and I can read this, or Ashley, if you want to unmute and ask, you're welcome to as well.
Okay, so with like the input, like how you guys said that you all scan like a PO and it pulls over information. I've noticed a lot of the vendors don't put key information like product materials, and like measurements and like an actual product description. Is this something like we would have to go back in and edit to the product? Or how does that work for that? Because I know a lot of our vendors will, like UMG for one, they will sell out of something at market before it ever hits their website for even a reorder.
Yeah. I mean, so the first initial layer, what we call the staging layer, what we're aiming to do is get all of that purchase order data. That's mainly for you. So it goes in the system, it says staging, it says the price, how many you ordered, when it's coming, vendor details, all of that good stuff. So then whenever it comes in, you hit a button that says, this has arrived. That's where you get to put the polish in. It's going to automate the captions. It's going to pull any images that you have. It has sections to add all of that details. If it wasn't in the original purchase order, you're going to have to go in there and just add a little bit, but it's already you got the bulk in there. There's
Okay.
a lot in there. But I would start. I was a squeaky wheel. I am a squeaky wheel. This is probably why I've landed here. I would push back on my vendors and say, "Hey guys, y'all aren't sending me this. Like y'all aren't, I need this information. I can sell more of your stuff if you're giving me the measurements ahead of time." Don't be afraid to ask your vendor,
Okay.
especially if you're ordering a lot from them. You're their customer. Okay. You're their customer. So if there's information that could be helpful to you on the front end that you're not getting, send a text, send a message, send a DM. I think you'd be
That's
surprised what they'd send you.
I've noticed a lot of vendors now don't even put like the material contents on their website and stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, when I go to order, if I'm ordering online, that's like a huge that's a deal breaker, for some materials because we don't do a lot of things that's 100% cotton.
Right.
So it's like if it's 100% cotton, then more than likely I'm not going to order it because my customers don't like 100% cotton items. So, but yes, that does answer my question. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, I would echo that. Be the squeaky wheel. And they go back, they have sales meetings. They get together and they're like, "Why do you think this didn't work?" Or, "What are you hearing from your customers?" And you hope that they're hearing something from the customers because you're ultimately the ones that you take the feedback your customers give you, right? Your customers, your retail customers, they're going to be vocal and they're going to tell you what they love or don't love. And so, yeah, it's kind of our due diligence to be vocal about that and help improve the process. All right, Shannon. Oh, hi, Shannon with Sunny Meadows. Good to see you. I can't even get product images after delivery sometimes. So yes, as far as an efficiency, like going ahead and getting your images and best case scenario there.
Yeah. So we have a link so you can either upload photos. If let's say your purchase order didn't have a photo, you can upload a photo that you took, whatever drag and drop system, or you can upload a link where you could put in that vendor's website. It's going to pull all of the images that they have associated with whatever link that you put in. I mean, it's up to your ethics, right? We're not going to be using photos that we're not authorized to use. That's your discretion. But I've loved that because you can do that on that last step, which typically you can find a product image somewhere and then you're not having to download it. I hate did that. So it's a link and it kind of pulls from there. So hopefully by that time you're pressing publish that the items are in, you can find, you can find something there.
All right. Shannon says, in my opinion, there's no excuse for us to be able to direct import all product information from every vendor. We are talking simple spreadsheet data. It shouldn't be this hard.
Truly.
Let's band together. I would love to be put out of business. I'll get back into the game. I want this to not exist.
Victoria, I was just going to say, and yet here we are.
I mean, every developer that I talked to when I was trying to solve this problem would be like, "Oh, you don't need a tool. Just go to your vendors." And I'm like, "Oh, you're cool." That's not going to be the route. And there's some parts where that is our superpower that we can source from a lot of different people. If a brand pops up that's hot and they don't have the perfect system, well, us small guys can handle it, right? They can't sign up to a Nordstrom because they don't have their ducks in a row. We can catch the young guys early. There's perks that come with our complexities too, sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What other questions do you guys have? Anybody have? There was a question in chat. Melody, how long do we leave something on the sales floor or on our website before we decide to start listing it?
So what I like to say is, and once again, guys, I'm sorry, I'm like beating a dead horse here about inventory planning and everything that I was taught as a retailer. Your first markdown is your best markdown, right? We just need to know if it didn't sell at full price and we're going to do a markdown, let's try to get it out the door the first time. So I know some people like a smaller tolerance. For me, when I did not do markdowns my first 5 years of being a retailer. That's how badly I hated them. And my turns, I will embarrassingly admit they were like 1.6 a year. Like I had like no turnover. Okay, guys, like Sarah, I know your eyes just got big. It was that bad. So then I started working with a planner and I started doing my markdowns. And if something didn't hit within 30 days, I would just put it to half off. That was what I did just because I was like, you know what? Let's see if anything is going to sell. And if I marked it half off and it didn't sell, so maybe you do that at 60 days. It's up to you, whatever your prerogative is. But for me, it was like 30 days, nothing's moving, 50% off, 50% off doesn't get it out. Okay. Like I didn't have a max retail. That sucks, guys. Like I did not have this. So then I'm like, now what? 60% off? And so, for me, what I say is after you've done a 50% off markdown in store that was unsuccessful, that's when you tag it on max retail.
Okay.
So whatever your timeline is to do your markdown, of course, I'm going to repeat to you, please don't let your customers see the same things over and over again. Inventory shouldn't celebrate anniversaries. We all tell our customers the lies. Oh, it was a bestseller. I reordered it, when we know we put it in a box and we hit it and we brought it out again. Like, guys, like we want newness for you. So do a half off markdown. That doesn't work. Tag it max retail. And I did see another question come through. Yes, we can send you orders back through Shopify. When you sign up for max retail, just say that you want order forwarding. And if you say, I want Shopify order forwarding, then we can send you your orders back through Shopify.
I love it. I love it. I'm just going to go back to one thing and then Sunny or Shannon, I'm going to come to you. When Mel said she had a 1 point something turn in her store, for everybody that's like, what does that mean? That basically, this is no shame because Melody, we've all been there, but basically what that means is she bought something, let's say in January, would probably had to have paid for it in February, right? But she didn't sell through it in her store for potentially 12 months. It's only turning over once in a calendar year. So typically, as small businesses, as retailers, we want our stuff turning over 4 times, right? So you can hurry up and get that cash back and reinvest it. That's where freshness comes in. But talk about tying up your cash with a one-time turn. You have to pay the vendors for those things 11 months before you get cash from your customers back for it. So that makes it really hard for freshness in your store. And that's where a market
Sarah,
comes.
I thought I was winning because
Sure.
I sold that item at full price. So in my head, that beautiful dress, I didn't mark it down and I finally sold it at retail because I didn't understand turnover yet.
Yep.
And then when I learned turnover, when I finally grew comfortable with markdowns because I didn't have a max retail at all. Some people use us to never mark down in store, to be honest with you. They just never want to run a sale. They'll keep it in store at full price, but they'll tag it on max retail after day 60 or 90, and they never do an in-store sale. Like I said, I see different strategies everywhere. But when I started embracing turnover, in 12 months, I went from having $200,000 of inventory on hand and a 1.6 turn to a 2.6 turn and $100,000 on hand.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was amazing.
That's where the money is, when you can make and improve your sales with less than half the amount of inventory, half the amount of debt, all of the things. And the other piece of the turnover piece of discussion that I love to talk about is, it's how fast does my inventory turn in my store, but how slow do those customers turn over in my store too, right? Like if they come in, to your point, and they start seeing the same things over and over again, they're coming back. They jump onto your website and they see the exact same cover photo they saw 6 weeks ago. They walk by and they see the same crusty dusty in your store window and they're like, oh, guess she hasn't gotten anything new, right? So, and it's not just this, we don't have to turn this into an SEO conversation, guys, either, but it's not just inventory turning in your store, your customers coming into your store, but these are things that need to be updated on your website as well for SEO and for Google, to see you and be like, hey, they're making changes. They've got good things happening over there. I'm going to send more people that way. Right. Versus you just like riding that fine line of just being, well, this is what it is. And I built it. They will come, because that's not the way it works anymore. All right. Let's see. I got a question. Shannon, I think, did you have your hand up? You disappeared off my screen, but Shannon, did you still have a question? Maybe not. Okay. I see Emily in the chat. Okay, I see here all the time to not bring in new inventory if it's not selling through. They say it's the biggest regret you'll have. So you think I should be dropping new arrivals even when my sell through isn't good? Ladies, you guys have been in the business for a long time. I could jump all over this one, passing it on. Or I'm sorry, Michael, you might have insight on this too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anybody in the
Michael's
Zoom.
not on the day trading side. I call this
That's right.
so I like to call it day trading. And that's how I thought about, once we deciphered like what Mel was saying, that turnover thing. It's kind of how I trained my brain to do it. And it gets easier. For me, once I got more comfortable with knowing what our customer liked in the sell and the fit, you also can use your intuition. We got to use data and intuition. If you're like, this is a flop, I mean, take a flyer, you could put it on a max retail. There's so many reasons why something could be dead. If it is a vendor issue, I harp on, if something comes in and you think it's iffy, start reaching out to your vendor from day one, because you have some options there to send it back and swap. That's the first thing that I would be thinking about too. Sometimes that would get way too far along in the process, and then you're stuck with a defective item. If she wants to give another scenario, I could probably give a more defined answer. Just, it depends on so many different factors. What time of year? It was sometimes when it's like those items that are coming in late June that are hot pink, like a bathing suit cover up. You got less time. You kind of.
Yeah. I agree. And I think also it's like, is there a pattern? Like I remember when I sold my store, I told the new buyer, I was like, do not buy anything with like a drawstring waist. Do not buy anything long sleeve. Do not buy midi dresses, because I knew what always ended up on my sale rack. And she went rogue and bought all of that. And then she had a lot of inventory that didn't sell. So I would say, like, be mindful as to what's not having a good sell through so that you don't go and, make the same mistake twice. It's okay to make, that's what I always promise. I promise people I'll always make new mistakes, but I'll try not to make the same one twice. So just, I mean, I would say if Victoria can give you data as to, hey, is there a pattern here about what I've brought in and like what I still have at the end of the season, I would definitely say like take that moment to be reflective, right? So that when you do go to place your orders, you're not making the same mistake.
100%.
Because it's okay to get out. Like unsold inventory is like a bad boyfriend. We just want to forget that he ever happened.
Yeah.
But we have to remember what we learned from it.
100%. Yes. All those, sometimes making the mistakes is how we learn, for sure.
Exactly.
Emily, I see your hand. Your hand is up. No, it dropped. Okay. All right. Yeah, 100%. I totally love this. Markdowns are inevitable. It's going to happen, you guys, but just learn from them before you take the quick, just store it or put it on sale or something, but definitely learn from it. And also, this is a whole nother kind of conversation, but pricing for profit is not negotiable. You have got to make sure your prices can absorb these discounts when it happens, and that you're building in enough room to, pick up the gap here. Okay, Emily, I see you back with your hand up.
Okay, sorry. I just didn't know if my question was still like kind of valid, but I just thought I'd ask anyway. Okay, so I have very slow lately, and right now what I'm doing is I'm launching twice a month, and I'm doing every other Thursday. So, and I'm doing it at a good time, like in the evening, so people are like, hopefully their kids are down, because my market is more like moms. So anyway, I just feel like nothing is selling. Like this past drop, it's embarrassing to say, but it like nothing sold. Like I sold one thing to my sister-in-law, which I don't even know if that counts nowadays. So I guess I'm kind of just like, I think one, it is a niche problem. So I'm working on that more again. But I think two, I just can't figure out like why. And this isn't the first time this has happened. And so then also I've been seeing, you look at, you have other boutique friends and they're on TikTok or whatever, and they're all just saying like, do not buy anything until you have sold, like don't buy anything else until you have sold at least 50% of what you just dropped. And to me, I'm like, if I don't do that, I'm newer. I've only been open for a little over 6 months. So I think my inventory right now is like 70 styles. So if I don't launch anything, like you guys were just saying, they're looking at the same thing over and over and over again. And then my nobody's buying, nobody's going to my site because they've seen the same thing. So everything is just like plummeting.
Okay.
So I'm just like
Emily,
stuck because I'm hearing a little bit of both. And that's what I'm really struggling with is if I buy or not.
well, hold on. It's more than just buy. It's you can't just go back and buy more inventory. Like the girls had said too, we got to learn, why did it not sell?
Yeah.
What is maybe the issue that's keeping your customers from jumping and building that trust? Is it your product descriptions? Is it your photography? Is it the sizings? Is it, seeing it as a lifestyle? Are you using are you using, bad photography or just product photos, things like that, vendor photos? What is it that you think you could improve on to build on that? Maybe you need to go live with the products. Maybe you need more fit videos, all those things. So yes, 100%. If you haven't sold through your products but yet you've done all these things, then this is a even bigger situation. A lot of times I have stores that are saying, I haven't sold anything. And then I say, what have you done? And they're like, what do you mean? I posted about it. Then that's a different conversation.
Sarah, I would say, Emily, your business is so new. I would dig into what has sold, when, and to who, right? So instead of focusing on what didn't sell, maybe it was like a maxi dress, right? And you notice that on Tuesday nights, the maxi dress hit. And ironically, maybe the maxi dress is hit to like the woman who is pregnant. Like, is your market your market? I would question, right? Like, lean in to what worked and also like be willing to question, like, who really is my customer? Is it this mom? Like, is that verified? Is it really her? Go talk to her. Call up the women who bought and say, hey, I think you've been watching my videos. What do you love when I show you? I remember when we launched footwear in my store, I got one pair of sandals and everybody that came in, I said, what do you think? And they said, well, they're too flat, right? They have no heel. And I wrote down all their feedback about why those didn't work for them. And then I went back and I bought another one. And then I made sure that it fit that criteria, but I also took down the phone numbers of everyone who gave me feedback so I could call them and say, hey, remember how you asked for like a sling back with like a support heel or whatever it was? Support, whatever you call that thing, arch. And they were like, yeah. And then they bought, Emily. So I would say don't wonder about your customer. Don't wonder about your products. Call them, talk to them, right? Let them be a part of your buying process and even go on, I would go on Fashion Go. I would go on Fair. I would take screenshots with no images and I would be texting them to people and I would be getting pre-sales. That way you have that validation before you buy that, okay, I'm going to sell 2 of these units and I feel confident that I'm going to shoot it and air it at the right time. So I would say lean into who and what is working and then pre-sale to build further.
Okay, I have done that a few times with a few items now that you say that, and it's making me realize, like I've put them on my Instagram and I'd be like, okay, which color do you guys like out of these 3? I'm going to buy 2. Which
Love.
ones? And then those were the things that you're right, did actually like sell.
Yeah.
So that's
I'll
a good
piggyback
point.
on that.
It's making me
That's
realize.
your community. I feel like community gets thrown around. And I think sometimes, you could think that's too much hard selling. That's community building. Bring them in. Be like, how would you style, if you have a top? Be like, how would you style this? Right? That makes people feel good. And that's the key differentiator where people are like, I want to be a part. I want to be a part. We would send out polls and polls about sometimes I don't, what are you doing next weekend? We're about to buy something. Tell me what you're doing. And honestly, that was such huge data, but I agree with Mel too. You can do some pre-order items on there and you can get some good data points. Say, let me know when this comes in stock. Those back in stock buttons, you can use them too for that kind of pre-sale thing, which is an interesting way to do it as well. A little more complex, but I think you got it.
To get off the ground,
Thanks,
I think
guys.
it's a safe way for you to buy.
Yeah.
All right, Shannon, you're back with your hand up. I see you now. Thank you.
Sorry, I had a customer.
Great.
Yeah.
That's what we
So-
want.
Yes. So yeah, this is a framing customer, but different. Anyway,
Okay.
but still a good thing. Money is money, right?
That's right.
So I guess a couple of questions. I have a children's boutique in a small little southern town. And so we're very niche-ish, and I'm still even narrowing that more. And I have toyed with max retail a few times, but I find that only the very highly sought after recognizable brands sell on max retail.
That's correct. If you've heard of it,
That's-
we can sell it. So
Yeah.
Shannon, you're spot on.
Yeah, but it's only like those very high, and it's such a pain entering the orders and stuff back and forth. And I honestly, I can't afford to pay you guys like if, and we are very careful with the inventory, but I swear Shopify eats inventory. I don't know what it does sometimes, but it's like stuff that should be right. I know I've inventoried, and then it'll show it's in there.
Yeah.
And then I end up having to pay a fine because I don't have it. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? How do you get
Absolutely.
past that?
So max retail, we are getting your inventory. If you were to sell on Poshmark or eBay or any of these other platforms that we're giving you access to, you would be held to a certain approval rating. And when you're selling on max retail, we're actually 3,000 independent retailers all sharing one seller account, which is why we have got to protect approval rating as best we can. We've had a couple instances over the years where because of excessive declines, we lost an entire channel and all of the retailers lost sales. And that's why, we don't charge a monthly fee. So if y'all think we did away with that monthly fee, there is no monthly fee anymore. There are no listing fees that are charged to you. There's no onboarding fee. We charge a 15% fee when items sell. Shipping is shipping. We can't get away from it. And yet, regardless of any of that, we still have to have accurate inventory. It's really the only thing we ask of our sellers. We say, we will do everything else for you, but we need fulfillment. And Shannon, absolutely. If it's a higher end item, it's great for max retail. If it's, a brand that you've heard of, whether it be accessories, kids, ThredUp has been an amazing partnership for kids where you don't have to send it in with their aggressive markdown strategy. We can get your inventory on ThredUp where you can actually recoup significantly higher payouts, which is amazing. And so we have unlocked more channels for kids, but still, yes, higher end is going to be it. For women's, it's everything from mid-tier, contemporary, designer. We do a ton of footwear, even eyewear, right? Like sunnies that you bring in for the summer, things like that. And as for the ease of it, really, Shannon, if you're on Shopify, it is as easy as tagging. And if you want to send orders back, as long as you do have a good fulfillment rate, we will automatically send orders back. Fulfillment will always be important. And I'll be completely transparent because we're working as a community on these amazing partnerships. But if we don't approve orders, they can drop us. It sucks. And so oftentimes we'll take that $10 that we charge you and we have to go out and buy it somewhere else on the internet to fulfill it, to protect our rating.
Yeah. And Shannon, our plans start at $49 a month. We're taking on beta users. If you want to see if we can try, there is that complexity gap. We understand kids is the number one worst purchase orders. We've spent the most amount of time training our system on it because, as our kids love to say, it's Google gobble. It's hard. So you're not alone. It is like sometimes I think that those kids purchase orders, it's like they're challenging their retailers for whatever reason. I don't know. Something's got to give there. So you're not alone.
Sizing is crazy.
Hard.
Sizing on kids is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, and my background is in finance. I have a business background, so I get the whole sunk cost, but it does still hurt your heart because kids, we don't have the triple markup or 2.5 times. We're lucky if we get 50%.
Yeah.
And that's
crazy.
The first markdown.
That's like a backwards industry.
Yeah, it's the margins are terrible. And so then we're paying and sitting on it and stuff. So it's just, I don't know.
I was going to say, Shannon, it's like, what are your alternatives? You could drop it off at a consignment shop. You could donate it. You could list it on Max. You have options. Ours is still the higher payout compared to the other two.
Yeah.
For kids, it's really unfortunate that the margins are that low in kids, and that's what I tell our retailers, like that was really the only option I had when I had my store, is if I really had to call it. There was this really lovely woman that I loved. She'd come by like once a year and she would buy my stuff for 10% of retail. My $330 dresses, she would take off my hands for $30 and I would nearly throw up. And anything that she wouldn't take, I would bring to the consignment shop, where I would then continuously get my monthly payouts and throw up. So, I can tell you, like, I really wish Max Retail existed when I was a retailer, the same way Victoria wished, there was a data inputting system available to her when she was a retailer.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I want to just throw in there that often gets forgot about is the manpower. Just how many times do I touch it? How many times have I moved it? How many times have I boxed it up and taken it to this place to try to sell it, or done this, or moved it different places? And that all adds up to, but that it doesn't have a price tag attached with it, but our time is extremely valuable. And, if you can take that purchase order information, have it uploaded straight away, use East Coast system, have it uploaded straight away into your point of sale system, and it works, you sell it, great, lovely. It doesn't, all of a sudden now you need to make a choice at that, whatever date you decide, you go in, add a Shopify tag that says Max Retail on it. That's your labor. You get a ding when it sells, just like you would get a ding if it sells to your normal customer. That's your labor. So I do want to just, I'm not saying that's exactly the system you need to do, but I do love the fact that you guys have looked at the problems and said, hey, let's be better. Let's build a solution around this and create an opportunity. And yeah, so I thank you guys for that. But I also know it's already 1:00. I apologize this went fast. This was a fun discussion, you guys. Thank you guys for joining in today. I really appreciate it. I dropped everybody's contact information in the chat, both here in Zoom as well in Facebook and in the event. The replay will be available, all the things. Guys, any last second things before we have to jump off?
Thank you for having us. Always love being with you.
Yes, thank you for having us. And all these questions are so valid. They've always been valid. Y'all are asking amazing questions. You're not alone. Mel and I can attest. Michael can attest. I had to pull him out of his career in medicine to solve these ridiculous problems. But what y'all do matter. Y'all are hospitality. You're shining your light. The world needs it. Keep going, fighting the good fight.
Fighting a good fight. And if we didn't get to something, a burning question, you didn't want to put it in the chat, you didn't want to, our email is available, our website's there. I know Melody's available, so please reach out. We'd love to chat with you and help you.
That's right. That's what being a part of the hub is about, right? We're one big community to help each other. And these guys can say it. I say it. We know what it's like to be in your shoes and all the many pieces. So let us be in your corner and help you guys. And even if it's just to, talk through a process, and maybe neither one of these systems is right for you today, but at least you have the education, the knowledge, and you know what's available if and when you're ready. So, right. I appreciate it, guys. Everybody have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with us.
Thanks, Sarah.
You bet. Thanks, guys. Bye.